The Dennis Miller Show, 866-509-7268.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. Dennis Miller here, basking in the glorious wake of modest achievement. Give me a B. He rocks in the Congress all the day long, rocking and a-bopping and a-voting his song. All the little lobbyists on K Street love to hear Reid Ribble going tweet, tweet, tweet. Reid Ribble, tweet, tweet, Reedy Ribble, tweet. All right, joining us now, Republican Congressman of Wisconsin, Reid Ribble. Reid, what's shaking?
Hey, Dennis, I actually like your name, too.
Go ahead, compose a little song about it, Reid.
Yeah, well, trust me, if you still want to have listeners at the end of this segment, you do not want me singing.
All right. Well, listen, I'm singing a happy tone today, my friend. I'm trying to make songs up for everything because this was big last night. You must be proud of your constituents.
I am proud of I'm actually prouder of my constituents than I am of the governor, and I'm pretty proud of the governor.
Yeah.
And you know what? This just goes to show that the American people will respond to courageous leadership. I'm here in Congress, and there are a lot of my colleagues who would rather think about what's going to happen in November rather than think about what's going to happen in 2020 in this country if we don't fix things. And Scott Walker has proven that he's willing to think about the next generation of Americans, and he's going to work hard to see that their life and prosperity is assured and is better than what it is that we got from our parents. I'm proud of him.
Well, it was ironic that Barrett, who didn't seem like the dullest knife in the drawer, he seemed a little nasty, but I've seen dumber people running against people, but he didn't quite have much to say at the end, except Walker was divisive because I guess in the interim, since they got the 1 million signatures, everything Walker said he'd do, he did, and it worked, right?
Well, yeah, I think what happened here, Dennis, is that the citizens of Wisconsin found out that the sky didn't fall.
Right.
This has been a year and a half, and everybody was saying that, education is going to be eviscerated, children aren't going to get, they're not going to have classrooms, there's going to be 100 students in a room and all this kind of stuff. None of that stuff happened. And, the sky didn't fall in, and the budget got balanced, and taxes didn't go up. And, finally the voters said, we're not exactly certain what the big deal is here.
We've gone after this guy 3 times in a year, and he's had to pay some attention to that, and we're still getting good yield on his tenure. Why don't we leave him alone so he can just do this, and let him serve out the term, and we'll see. So,
yeah, and I think there's a really powerful lesson for citizens around the country as well, is that if you have the right leader, in this case the governor, in the national format, the president, and you have the other 2 levers of government, the Senate and the House, that actually have a strategy and a plan to set things straight, it can happen. But it does require leaders that will have enough courage to do what they say, to actually not just talk about things, but actually do things. And Governor Walker was willing, and he had the help in the Wisconsin Assembly and Senate to get it done.
Yeah, he had cojones. Now, you serve on the Budget Committee in the House. What do you see on the state level in Wisconsin that can almost immediately and intact be translated over to help the federal budget?
I've said all along, and Congressman Paul Ryan's a good friend of mine, and he agrees with this, that we need a constitutional amendment to require a balanced budget each year. Sometimes I think if the American people had to pay for the government they have, they would demand a government that does less. But as long as they can just have everything they want, never have to pay for it, and assume that some future generation is going to pay for it, they're going to continue to vote for themselves more largesse from the government. And so a lot of states have a balanced budget amendment. Wisconsin does. The governor enforced it. And there's a real example here. And I think the American people will respond. They're very frightened about what the future could be if the federal government doesn't get control over how we're spending money.
We're talking to Representative Reid Ribble, Republican of Wisconsin. Imagine that, Reid, that we've come to a time in history where one party has been able to convince approximately 1/2 of the people that something called a balanced budget amendment is satanic. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me. It seems like such a no-brainer.
Yes, every business on the planet, every individual family has to find some way to manage their finances. Not only are we so off mark, we've got one party that doesn't even pass a budget. I mean, the U.S. Senate hasn't offered up a budget in 3 years. The president's own budget got thumped in the Senate last year, 97-0, we had to get a Republican to offer his budget in the House of Representatives because no Democrat would touch it. So Mick Mulvaney from South Carolina offered up the president's budget to be voted on in the House, and it got defeated 414-0. And so, I mean, it's not just they don't want a balanced budget amendment. They don't even want a balanced budget.
And yet, you would think at some point, all I'd need from Barack Obama, not to vote for him again, but to at least concede, okay, maybe he's as smart as they tell me is when he sees a job report that only adds 69,000 jobs, when the unemployment rate goes up from 8.1 to 8.2, and God knows how many more people just dove out of the program. These numbers are even hard to keep tabs on now. Just some sort of vague mid-course correction where you go, okay, let me try at least this tenet, but nothing, right? He's going to plant this on the carrier deck.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I mean, rather than admitting that we've got a problem, he's out bragging about 4 million jobs created since he was sworn into office, and it doesn't really matter what's happened in the past. It's what's going to happen tomorrow. And I would invite the president to work with the House of Representatives and encourage Harry Reid to at least bring to the floor for a vote the 30-plus jobs bills that we've already passed out of the House and have the Senate vote on them so that they could get them over to the president's desk and we could begin to do some things that would help employment in this country. And I am not a guy who says government creates jobs. Government does not create jobs. But government can put obstacles in the way of jobs. American business people create jobs, so let's remove the obstacles the government's put in the way so that they can go about their work.
Listen, government creates jobs for idiots like Harry Reid, and that's the simple fact. You put Reid in the real world, he's the dimmest bulb on the strip, ironically. He might have came from Searchlight, but that light went out a long time ago, and now he's just a paid contrarian. We're talking to Representative Reid, Ribble, Wisconsin. Republican, good on you in your state last night, man. I think it's like somebody finally took a stand and held back. It's like Les Mis, and now we can start pushing the other way. Good for you.
Hey, courage matters.
All right, Reid, Ribble, congrats to you and your state. We're going to continue to take phone calls throughout the hour at 8.